Hello guys, welcome back to the workbench. Today we're going to be attempting more surgery on the old Triang Pacific Loco. A couple of users, I'll put the name of the user in the description because I've forgotten his name, that's awful, has outlined the fact that these con rods are actually the wrong way around, and they are on both sides, and so I'm going to try and rectify those today, as well as cleaning out as much as we can. But that's pretty much all we can do, so I'm going to try that and we're going to see. So first I'm going to take the body off just to protect it. And here's the same problem that we've always had. The motor's stuck in, but as far as we know it's alright. But what I'm going to do is, when I've taken these rods off, ooh, there's some smoke fluid there from the Synchro smoke. What I'm going to do is, once we've got these rods off completely, it's still wet, I'm going to turn the wheels by hand to have a feel of how much drag there is. Now, because we can't take the motor off, I can't turn the centre set of wheels because that's where the worm is attached to the worm wheel, but on the left and right wheels we can do that. So I'm going to attempt to take these off. And you've got to be very careful not to lose any of the parts. So I've got this washer. I'll find a little container to put them in, I reckon. Or the second best thing, which is a lid. And I might put the separate pieces, in fact no, I was going to say I'll put the separate pieces in them in different boxes, but I think it'll be alright. So there's the piston thingy, I don't know its proper name, and there's the first set. And as you can see, we've got quite a bit of a mess on those, so that's going to be cleaned up, but we won't do that until we've got the other set out, and then we know truly what we're dealing with. Now, I don't know whether these two sets of rods are supposed to be completely out of phase with each other. And what I mean by that is, when this set is up, should the other set be down? If so, I mean it stands to reason, but if that's the case, and again we've got the dirt, then that's another fault with this particular Loco. Alright, we've got those out, and they should face up, I believe. As you can see, there's absolutely no drag from this wheel at all, and similarly with that one, actually it's pretty good. The middle one doesn't feel particularly bad. And what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to go and get the power supply turned on so we can connect this up and we can see just how this runs without any load at all. And this is the closest we can get to running the motor without a load, so be right back. It's turned on the wind turbine and the DCC controller on my computer and goodness knows what else, but all we need is the power supply. Just need to plug it in. Come on. Okay. Now, I'm not too sure of the lengths we've got of cable. We've got one that's very long and one that's not so long. And these basically go from the old Meccano train controller that I've showed you in the past, and I'm sorry for being so quiet, it's rather late and I don't want to wake people up. So there, that's attached. Now I'm pretty sure this isn't going to go anywhere because these set of wheels don't actually touch the ground, but and that's pretty good. There's no reason to believe that that is anything less than normal running order, and that's on the lowest setting. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that motor. I could be wrong, but perhaps you'll agree there's no sparks, no more smoke. That's going to keep people awake. So it looks like you guys were right. It doesn't appear to be the motor. Now, I'm not saying that's for sure, but it certainly seems to run pretty well, as I'm sure you'll probably agree. I've not done any servicing for a while because I did this September service at the very beginning of September, and of course now it's part way through October, so I haven't done any servicing for a while, so if I can't find any of my stuff, I apologise. I'm just filling up the nail polish remover. Now I would use proper thinner, but it's a bit too volatile for me. Chemicals in the air, you know, so at least this is safe, or safer. So I'm going to clean this. Now I believe they are supposed to face upwards. I mean, it's easy to check, easy enough to check. Obviously I've got quite a few Locos. The majority of them should have the correct positioning, so we'll soon know. Also, I can't imagine it will make much difference, you know. I really can't, but it must be something. It's just such a shame we can't move her without influence of the motor, you know. But you know what I mean by that, I know that didn't make sense at all. What I meant by that is, normally when you can take the motor out, you can just roll the Loco and all its gear, and you can just about tell how much drag there is, if any. But obviously with this we can't. So I'm going to do my best to make sure everything's perfectly smooth. Clean out these holes. What I might do is use a needle. This is just me improvising, because there's something up with this Loco. There's no question of that. There's something up. And I'm not too bothered about how long it takes to find out what it is, as long as we eventually do, of course. So it's generated quite a bit of interest, that original video I made showing the problem with her, so yep. On the side, I'm going to clean the, don't know what it is, the thing that holds the valve. I can't imagine that's a problem really. But if nothing else, we will get the rods facing the right direction. If nothing else. Okay. So the rods face upwards. Let me just check that. I believe that's correct. As far as I can tell, the rods are supposed to face upwards. And that's fair enough. So what I'll do is get these in first, and then we'll turn it to face there. Oh, and silly me, what I really should do is lubricate as I'm putting it back together, and that will make sure that there truly is oil on every moving part. I'm going to be quite generous with the amount, because I want to have a serious impact on the amount of drag that this gear must be causing. It must be causing it. Right. Clean these washers up, because they're disgusting to a degree. It's very difficult with the motor connected actually. It's going to be a bit of a job, I reckon. Get that in. Now this is the most difficult part of reassembling. There's a few methods you can adopt. My method is just winging it. I'm going to remove that washer actually until I've got this in. So as you can see, what I'm trying to do is lift the piston with the screwdriver. There we go. That's in. Right, lubricate this. Now another point is this thing is now the other way around, and that might make a difference. In fact, I bet it will. Or is it? I can't tell. We'll soon see. Reattach this. Now really I should be using a smaller screwdriver to do this sort of work, but I'm using my standard one. So you've got to be careful not to round these screws off, because they look like they're fairly custom screws, which is good because we've got unique screws, but it's also bad because it's either impossible or expensive to get replacements. I'm sorry that I'm rambling during these demonstrations, but it's just a better way of getting through the video without just, you know, uncomfortable silence. Lubricate. Not putting too much in because we don't want it spilling off, but we want at least enough to seriously get things moving. Right, these face up. These face up. Now these are different from modern Hornby ones, because modern Hornby ones really do pivot on screws, but these actually just appear to. Right, make sure this is not bent in any way. Right, I think it's the same job really, isn't it? Put my screwdriver under there. I'm sorry, my hand must be covering this up. There, in. Yeah, they don't go in, they don't find themselves in the hole, you got to do it. Alright. Only a little bit of lubricator comes out of these Gauge Master thingies, but I've used quite a bit, as you can see, and I've only had it a few months. It's worrying. Must mean I'm using more than I was. But I suppose there's not much in there really. Probably a lot less in there than there looks. Screw back on. Okay, now I believe that is now correct. Now there's always the chance that the washers don't go where I put them. It's possible that the washers are supposed to go higher up, but we'll see. That might be the next thing to look at. But now that is properly correct, as it were. So let's put these on, a bit of oil, and before we even put her on the railway, let's get her tested on this. So here we are, one of the best purchases I've ever made, and I'm not kidding, it really is a good purchase. The Helping Hand. In fact, I don't know if I did make this purchase, I think someone bought it for me. Either way, make sure it's off the ground, good and proper, and it is. Okay, so what we can do is I can electrify the Helping Hand, like washing, just like this. There. And then all I've got to do is clip onto the other brush, which is that one, of course. And that's a good trick if you're ever interested. If you clip onto the motor, that's always live. And we'll see if I'm wrong about that. There's something different about that. And that's on a very low speed indeed. It's going faster, which means that it's good. Oh, it's escaping. You know, I've got a good feeling about that. Very good feeling indeed. I'll be very pleased if we finally cracked it. Right, enough of that. She can get running properly if indeed we have fixed her. I'm just going to dab a little bit of oil on the motor. Not a service, but just an update for the oil, just so that we know that it's properly oiled. And also, what I find is good practice is always put the body back on. I know all that tempting fate stuff, it is tempting fate, but these worm wheels and worms throw a lot of grease up into the air, which of course either land back down on the, you know, on other bits of rolling stock or the track or any other part of the chassis really. But if you've got the body on, it's always going to be caught. So if it's going on the railway, just because I've got such a lot of track, to clean it all is a big job. So yeah, that's basically the reason. So call it tempting fate, but every time it works and I put the body on, it's sort of like, haha, fate's, never mind fate. Okay, this is proving more difficult than I thought. Right, let's give her a try. Well, there's no more multicam, I'm afraid, so you're going to have to make do with my excitable, shaky camera work. Well, I suppose I could do multi-camera, but it would be a bit unnecessary. So, first test, let her go around the layout, and, well, if she can, of course. And that's just a stall, don't worry about that. Off she goes. It's slightly disjointed as far as the performance goes. And this is a good giveaway, look at this. Can't see it so well, but it's flickering rather a lot. So perhaps it needs a good running in. Perhaps it does. But that's certainly better. Certainly a lot better. I mean, I think it is just the case of having really big wheel flanges. I really do. But we'll soon see. I mean, there's always the possibility that the motor's been damaged from all the hard work we've been putting her through. You know what I think? I think she's disagreeing with the points. So what I think we're going to do is take her through to the test layout and let her run around on there, and we'll soon see. Alright guys, we'll try that. Well, bring it into here really supports my argument about the big wheel flanges. Just listen to this. Very dodgy. And if you look at this, there's a very interesting point. And a lot of the trying locos are like this. And it's not just because of the valley-shaped track. We take it up to the top of the valley, as it were, where the track isn't bent. We've still got that issue. Anyway, we're using the old style Hornby controller. Goodness knows if you'll see it. This thing, you can probably just tell what it is from the shadows. Not very smooth, but certainly powerful. So, go on. Oh dear. And there's also something wrong with this front bogie, I've noticed. Look at this. Back wheels hopping up off the line. That's not right. That's certainly not right. That could be causing problems. I think we're going to look into that one, people. Alright, I'll get the screwdriver. So the truck's gone. Well, it's not gone, it's here. And we can have the rare opportunity to run this on its own. And that is actually the smoothest thing they've got. But it was just the fact that the back, or the I can't remember, one of them was coming up off the ground. This is still absolutely not right. You could use that thing as a track cleaner if you wanted to. But, well. See, it's jolting so much, it's dislodging itself from the track. I mean, that was never the original issue at all. I'll just come up here. Sorry, grunting and groaning. And also, of course, the fact that it's missing this front truck slash bogie thing will probably cause this to happen a bit more, because it's look at that. That is on one of those pieces of old Hornby 00. Oh, is it 00? But look at that. Look how extremely smooth that is. Even on the other track it's not so bad. Even at slow speed, that's... You know what it means? It means I've got to get some Super 4 track, doesn't it? Come on. Ah, it's so far away. Whack this one. It is absolutely the track. Look. Notice how smooth it suddenly becomes as it reaches this back section. Really smooth. And when it comes to here, yeah. So now we've got the question, is why is this Loco in particular so bad on the track? Because it seems it is the track. Now this track back here, I'll try and get a decent shot of it. As you can see, it's this type of Hornby track, and the sleepers must be much further away from the rails. We can measure it if we want to, but you know, the proof is in the pudding, really. I really think I need to get myself a loop of Super 4 track that goes inside this loop, and then we can really see just how it performs. Because I mean, me and Cliff have theorised about this. We reckon this is one of the oldest of the old, and these flanges must be much larger than other trying locos, because as you know, very few of them have such trouble on my railway. You know, you know, they're not perfect on points, they stutter occasionally, but their general running is acceptable, I think it's fair to say. But that's absolutely not true in this case. So I'm going to put this truck back on just to run once more with it on. But yeah, I do think it's very much the track. I mean, this is older track in here, so if it's struggling on this, I mean, it's not so obvious on the carpet, because of course it absorbs a lot of the sound. So I think it's, you know, it's a test layout. It really does show things the way they are. So, is there something wrong with the locomotive? I don't know. I used to think so, more so than I do now. I don't really think so as much now. But, you know, the fact that the motor's permanent, you know, you can't take it out, the very basic detail, moulding, it all points to the fact that it's probably a very, very early locomotive. But yeah, is there something wrong with it? I don't know. I would have been inclined to think so, but now I would say, based on its performance on that piece of straight track at the back, let's go and see. Go on. Just there. Just that little section. It's incredible how well she runs. Look how slow she runs. So well. I mean, yeah, she's died now, but very few Triang locos will perform so well at slow speeds. Oh dear, that back truck's come off, I think. Look at that. That caused a few sparks. I certainly think it's the flanges. It's the same old. It's such a shame, really. It really is a shame. But these, you always see on the Triang videos, the original Triang videos, how fast they go. And if they did have smaller wheel flanges, they would simply fly off the track. But of course, now it's come back to haunt them. But I will try and get some Super 4 track. Oops, for in here, because I think it's necessary, you know. You see, now it's not running very well at all. Go on. Is it shorting? No. Look, constant sparks. Just there, it's really bad. Maybe this track's warm. Look, and then something's up, isn't it? Is it shorting? I don't know. You know, whether it's the track or the Loco. There's some kind of curse on this engine. I ain't kidding. Oh, it's actually derailed. Okay. Well, that's fair enough. Let's try again. That's better. So on modern track, it's impossible to get the happy medium. You go too fast, the flanges don't matter too much. It doesn't cut out, but it'll fly off the rails. It'll just jolt it'll shake itself off the track, literally. If you go too slow, it'll stall and it won't manage. And look, that's ridiculous. It's struggling so much. Well, I'll get some Super 4 track, guys. I don't know when. Another thing on the list, eh? But we'll do it, because I'm sure other locos deserve to see just how well they can do on track that they were designed to run on, and I think it would be very interesting. So I promise to do that. Might not be tomorrow, might not be next week, but I'll do it. Well, thank you for that adventure, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, it's just an adventure. It's not the most amazing entertainment, but it's you coming along with me to try and find out what's up with the thing. It's interested you, so in the past, just listen to that. Almost certainly it's the track. Anyway, cheers guys, see you soon.